we are going to talk about the Legend of Zelda player type analysis.
Player typologies. We divide players into two typologies, one driven by attraction factors and the other by motivation factors. Attraction factors. With the game industry's development, both hardware and software has become vastly more sophisticated. Moreover, game designers have become more aware of what players want. Consequently, it would be easy for players to be attracted by those video games. Generally, there are three main attraction factors: achievement, social, and immersion. As for Zelda, a Switch console game, it is difficult for players to gain achievement from the competition with others in-game. Players could still gain achievement from collecting things or challenging sophisticated skills. The second one is immersion. As an ARPG and open-air wargame, players could interact with almost everything of the entire land of Hyrule Kingdom. Moreover, there is a story that guides players to unlock the map or explore this mainland. Therefore, it is easy for players to enjoy this game and consider themselves as the protagonist Link to explore this world. Motivation factors. Motivation factors are more like shallow threats from real life and are always associated with real-life issues. Games are surprisingly good outlets for various common real-life problems that players struggle with. Players driven by motivation factors always desire to escape from real-life pressure and are not satisfied with the real world. Zelda could present gamers who are in a pessimistic life with a place to escape from real-life stress. Players who are not satisfied with their lives could place themselves in this virtual world.
We play the game for different factors. Uncle and Chen Hanzhang are attracted by the motivation factors, and Zhang Chen and Yan Zhenyu are attracted by the attraction factors.
As for me, as a routine player, I follow the storyline at first. I discover the temples and help my character retrieve his memory. As time flows, I unlock the cooking skill and I cannot get out of it. I forgot the time and all of the tasks. Just trying to cook different kinds of food as much as possible. The endless permutation and combination attract me so much. The effect that food brings me made me feel really fresh. The process of collecting raw materials also cost me a lot of time. I also searched for more novel recipes and made them by myself. I thought I can play in this way like forever until the red moon reminds me there's still a princess wait for me, and I have to take the time. But I have to admit that the cooking process brought me a happy gaming experience.
I'm also a player driven by attraction factors. I'm drawn to the open-air world setting and the landscape. Even though I was also pushing the main story of the game, I spent a lot of time exploring the world, traveling as far as I could on the map. But unlike Zhenyu, I do not often use a paraglider to explore the world. The most common thing I do is to ride a horse. This way will consume more time for me, but let me see many scenery details. I would also like to find more ways to explore the world. For example, in addition to paragliding, you can also use the interaction between the cliff and the mountain trees to achieve the effect of flying.
I am one of those gamers who are driven by attraction factors, and the design of Zelda as a game itself appeals to me. For me, the main purpose of playing this game is to explore the entire virtual world. I don't have a huge thirst to complete all the quests, and dividing the storyline just helps me unlock more new maps, so I could go to more places. My favorite way to play this game is to use the paragliders to fly through the sky and look down on the surrounding scenery, which I get more enjoyment out of than just getting through the game.
I'm one of those gamers who are driven by attraction factors. The open world of Zelda Legend attracts me very much. I like the Zelda combat system very much. I often try to challenge people and try all kinds of combat skills. From the beginning, I was often got killed, or I had to keep returning blood, and then I could kill the horse without injury. The improvement of my combat skills often brought me great pleasure.
Some special ways to play. The Legend of Zelda: The Breath of the Wild is an open-world game. There are 4 elements of fire, ice, thunder, and wind, and all 4 elements can be used to change the state of objects, thereby giving birth to more gameplay. For example, iron objects can conduct electricity, flames can be blown larger by wind, the ice cubes can be burned by fire. The game also uses a seamless battle mode, which means that players can kill monsters in various ways. For example, based on the element interaction mentioned above, some players choose to light the straw and use a fan to increase the flame to burn the monsters. This method of using elements to change the state of objects to kill monsters are different from how ordinary players choose to kill monsters with weapons. More balls beat by the players, more elements can be controlled to attack monsters, which is to say, when people get more powerful weapons, they can beat the monsters in a more effective way, and there are more choices for players to defeat the monsters. In this way, some of the players are addicted to beat the monsters in different ways, using more weapons that they haven't got before finishing the whole storyline. For example, they try to kill the monsters when they fly in the sky or some other ways. There are 999 temples in The Legend of Zelda. Each temple is a small puzzle or a maze design. The players need to decode the mystery to unlock the teleporter. Most of mazes should be completed through the designer's guidance, but few players try to find ways to break the labyrinth without following the designer's ideas. For example, a maze allows players to go down through the decryption, but after repeated attempts, players find that they can directly use the parachute to glide to the bottom without the need of cracking the puzzle. Some people are trying to riddle the puzzle as fast as possible. There are many videos uploaded on YouTube to show their record, which from the temple. Keeping explore the credit scenes can also be a particular playing method. The Legend of Zelda: The Breath of the Wild also contains many credit scenes that are hard to find without careful exploration. But once discovered and researched, there is often a sense of pleasant distance between the designer and the player, so some players indulge in the search for such credit scenes. For example, when a player unlocks a tower or completes a temple, a mythic character is injected with the animation. The phrases is actually from 1987's The Legend of Zelda, a designer's tribute. Player typologies could help us to understand different kinds of play and different designer intentions. As mentioned before, our group divides players into 2 typologies, one driven by attraction factors and the other by motivation factors. In this framework, these 2 player typologies could help us to analyze the purpose behind the different play styles and the psychological reasons players have for playing in this way. For instance, players who have a strong desire to finish various tasks as quickly as possible may be driven by the motivation factors. Someone argues that people like games because of their social mindset. Their achievement in the game is that they can show off and share online, hoping to win others' admiration. Many people like to practice repeatedly and become the fastest customs clearance people in the world because they can satisfy their psychology of wanting others to identify with and admire. However, Kaleo and others mention that the purpose of some people playing games is to relax after work and study. Players would pay more attention to explore the entire virtual life. which attraction factors may drive, and they may play games purely for its own sake and no other purpose. From the perspective of driven factors, we are offered a new way to understand the different playstyles' deeper intentions. As for helping understand designers' intentions, in studying player types, we find that there are many different types of players, but they are not mutually exclusive. The possible reason for this is that video games are commercial products. The designer intentions are relevant to the player's experience and emotional appeals when buying and playing with the game. Designers need to think about what kind of element makes players attracted and how can they reach them. On the other hand, what players are drawn to and how they play the game can reflect the game designer's intention to some extent. By analyzing the game's design from the perspective of driven factors, it is easy for us to understand why some of Zelda's machines are designed the way they are. Unlike others traditional RPG games, the Legend of Zelda's Breath of the Wild's design is based on open-world settings. Classic RPG is more dependent on promoting the plot, going to a place, and opening a plot animation. Players often need to go through a long time span to enjoy the fun. But The Legend of Zelda, The Breath of the Wild makes even climbing very interesting, which meets the need of many casual players who may only need simple fun that they can enjoy in a short time. Someone mentioned that one of the core principles of The Legend of Zelda's Resort is to turn obstacles into alternate paths, a decision that gives players new freedom. Players can choose to climb almost any surface in the game rather than preset specific walls or routines. The Legend of Zelda also adopts the concept of consumability of all items, includes the fact that weapons can be broken for a while. When players have no weapons, they have to look for weapons, which further strengthens the fun of exploration, which helps casual players immerse themselves in the open world they create. From traditional plot promotion to heartfelt exploration to promote players play games. Pinanen also mentioned giving all weapons limited durability, causing them to break after multiple uses. This game helps to prevent players from sticking to one weapon and increase their desire to explore. Sultan mentions that the player's exploration practice is set at 5 minutes in The Legend of Zelda: The Breath of the Wild, and that something new is bound to emerge every 5 minutes to continue the desire to explore. Casual players often find in the game that they want to enjoy the game for a while. Still, unwittingly, it has passed a long time because the players are attracted by the new things that continuously appear in the game and stimulate their inner desire to explore.